like in 2021, it's wine trial time at the Tour. This time taking in the roads of Burgundy. We've had a birthday out there today as well. Alexander Kristoff turning 37, a very happy birthday to him. And it's a birthday in the car as well. Yvon Le Danois, 55 today, sports director from Arkea B&B Hotels. And this is Luke Durbridge, who was absolutely delighted for his mate yesterday, Dylan Groenewegen. And after we saw the reaction from the team, knowing that there will have been relief and delight. They have their win now, and that changes the whole tour for Jaco Alula.
Yeah, of course it does, and it was so nice, wasn't it, to see those images, specifically of Luke Durbridge after the line. He was just delighted for, you know, the whole team and what they put into, you know, a result like a win at the Tour de France. It's huge. And I actually was listening to some kind of post-race interviews yesterday about Dylan Groenewegen and how he's really worked on his versatility actually as a bike rider, and how he never ever used to train on the uphills, and how he's put a lot into that. So it was great for him and the whole of the team yesterday.
The brand new Belgian champion, Tim Wellens, the drie kleur on his back. Quite the achievement for Wellens to become Belgian time trial champion.
He's not looked like he's on his best form though, I don't think, this race. He's not looked like he has done in the classics and in races beforehand. I don't know if there might be a bit with him at the minute where he might have been a little bit poorly. We heard about Tadej having COVID. Tim Wellens might have been one of them. Or he could be doing a Wout Powell sort of ride where he comes into his own that last week where he's just been held back that little bit more. But he's definitely not looked the Tim Wellens we've seen in the last 18 months, let's say.
It's interesting because his first Grand Tour in 2 years, actually. Hasn't ridden since the Tour in 2022. Here's Luke Durbridge then coming to the finish. Time is green, and it will stay green as he crosses the line. But he's looking for every second. Look at that effort face on. The man who's in the hot seat on the left-hand side on Tour debut is about to vacate it, because Luke Durbridge will be taking over. Here is the man from Australia, Jaco Alula, yesterday having stage victory with Dylan Groenewegen. Luke Durbridge, licensed to give his all today. Doesn't always get to do that in Grand Tours. Today he's gone 26 seconds quicker than Lenny Martinez.
I think it's fair to say he left absolutely everything on the road there, didn't he? You can tell by his body language coming into the finish. His head kept ducking down, that grimace on his face. Good ride there.
One of the top early times. And that's going to be the benchmark as we say goodbye to Martinez. Is this the man who's going to beat it?
So far, so good. Went through the first time check up, didn't he? He's not far off that second time check now.
Oh. Niels Pollitt in the meantime going quickly. Interesting here. You wondered if he'd be given the freedom to have a go.
I think with a day like this, Rob, it's only, what, half an hour? The time trial, really. It's not going to take that much out of you in terms of these guys going full gas or going near full gas. I think they need it as well. Keep the engine ticking a little bit, keep it going, press on a little bit, open the legs up. As I said, it's only half an hour. The warm up beforehand and then a warm down after. But I think majority of these riders will need to squeeze on today just so they're ready for tomorrow as well. It's not just going to be a walk in the park.
Well, there won't be much danger. It looks like Pollitt having to sit in the hot seat physically anyway, because even if he does continue to set the times he's setting, Bissiger is beating them quite comfortably. 24 seconds quicker there, straight after Pollitt, who'd already taken 14 seconds out of Durbridge there. It seems that Durbridge himself won't be getting too comfortable in that big chair. Meantime, this is Raul Garcia Pierre on the left-hand side in the red jersey. He is one of the stronger Spanish time trialists on the scene at the minute. And you can see that for Christophe Laporte, it's about getting the day done. Garcia Pierre now riding for the French team now, but he's from just outside of the centre of Madrid, a place called Tres Cantos, north of Madrid. Brother rides still for the second division Spanish team, Can Farmer. Now then, La Valle Saint-Vivant doesn't look very vivant at the moment. Does look like it might be in the process of being restored, though. The views from there will be pretty, won't they?
Very. Probably turned into a restaurant or something like that in the region that they're in. Bit of vino with it.
There's just a bit of that around here.
You can see the local council here as well, Rob. They've obviously come in. You can see Bissinger's done a recon there, not getting off of his tri-bars, staying on and around one corner, onto the skis on that corner, but he is not holding back down this descent. I was just about to say, you can see that the Tour de France has come to town, because all new road surfaces down this descent especially, new white markings on the road. So once the Tour de France leaves, at least the local people have a nice new road. Bike riders, nice smooth road to train on as well.
Do you know what I read actually before the Tour de France talking about the roads? Apparently there's a group of people, I think they're called something like the Eraser Men, who go ahead of the Tour and get rid of any kind of rude words, shall we say, the stage beforehand. So following the Tour to make sure there's no rude words on the road. So I thought that was very nice indeed.
Otherwise known as spoil sports, no?
Depends what way you're looking at it, doesn't it, Rob?
Tim Wellens spoiled the hopes and dreams of many a Belgian time trialist the other week. It was a 40-kilometre course in a place that Adam knows well, a place called Mywhoosh.
Beautiful little town.
Victorious town for Mr. Blythe back in the day.
Yeah, that's a good win, that one. I'll even blow my own trumpet there. That was a good win.
We'll let you do it, eh? Well, Tim Wellens beat Alex Seegaard, very good young time trialist from Belgium, and Bruno Herregots, who won a time trial very recently. No Wout van Aert, no Remco Evenepoel in the field, however. First win of the season for Wellens, and a first elite national title of any kind. So brilliant news for Wellens, who will be very proud to wear that Belgian jersey. Also, a first time trial win of any sort for Wellens for 5 whole years.
Wow. He was always a solid time trialer, though, wasn't he? In, you know, Eneco Tour, which was, what's it called now? I'm not even sure.
Tour.
That's it, yeah, which used to be the Eneco Tour. He was always up there in there. Tour of Belgium, he was always up there trying to get the overall in second, third, fourth. He's always very, very solid. What you see on the road is typically what you see in time trials as well. Well placed all the time.
This is Hugo Page, part of the lead out for Biniam Girmay, across in a deficit of 112.
Bissinger's not hanging about around these though, Rob. I mean, if you saw him on that descent down there, he wasn't hitting the brakes. He's obviously done on his recon. We were chatting about recons before, and was it Remco that's done it 5 times? Yeah, you can see why when they get onto these downhills, if you can save a second here, second there. Lost a bit of time though.
Making it quicker. Now you're talking about Remco Evenepoel. What about this Melissa bike? We've had a bit more of a glimpse into what they might be preparing. Here is their performance equipment head with Hannah Walker.
An individual time trial is so important. All of the details, the innovation, particularly for a day like this when we're in the biggest sporting event in the world, in the Tour de France. Jenko Drost, you're the head of performance engineering. You look at just behind the fleet of bikes here, and particularly focusing on Jonas Vingegaard. What changes has he made to the bike for this particular time trial?
Well, yeah, from last year, this year we have a new bike. So yeah, that's mainly the biggest change. So yeah, some of the shapes changes, and yeah, it's just it's a new P5 from Cervelo. So that's the biggest change, I would say. Yeah, for this time trial, just again optimize this year his position. Yeah. Just optimized all components on the bike, yeah, just to get it perfect for this time, for this Tour de France actually. Yeah.
I see as well a new saddle that all of the riders have opted to go for. What is the thinking behind that?
Yeah, well, it started with ergonomic because yeah, you want of course the best fit saddle so you can push the most power. So it's yeah, in terms of shape, it's the most optimum saddle for us, and also in combination with the seat post, you have a more aerodynamic. Yeah, combination. So that's yeah, just a better saddle, seat post.
And I also look at the different colours of the bike, and it's striking to me that Jonas's bike is all black. You don't have the iconic yellow from Visma Lease bike.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, well, we try to optimize the weight on the bike, and yeah, of course, the paint is weight. So yeah, the less paint you have, the less weight you have. So that's yeah, just try to minimize that for Jonas, because yeah, he's a light rider, so every gram counts.
What's the difference in weight in comparison to this P5 and the bike that Jonas will race on today?
We'll probably keep that to ourselves, because yeah, that's yeah. We'll not tell all our secrets, so it's yeah. Well, it's enough to do it like this.
Enough to do it. We're always innovating. You come from an engineering background. When engineering meets cycling, it's a good combination. And Jonas Vingegaard will be looking to go as fast as possible on this Cervelo P5.
That was Jenko Drost speaking to Hannah Walker, not giving away the secrets, understandably, Danny.
No, of course not. They're not going to want to give away all these little small details, are they? But it's just forever evolving. All these little marginal games where, you know, grams can be shed from the bike, the equipment that they're using, the time spent in position, the wind tunnel testing. It is all meticulously planned that goes into, you know, these time trial performances, which could remain so critical for, you know, the overall when we look at that general classification. For Jonas, there's those huge question marks that I think will be answered today. He's not at 100% now, and those little 1-2% could, you know, really cost him, and we'll see what he's got in the tank today.
This is Matej Mohoric, or it was. He, of course, is the new Slovenian time trial champion. Stefan Bissiger is travelling around a minute quicker than the fastest time set at the finish right now. I'll tell you that Michael Matthews is travelling fairly well behind too. Jeko and Lula are on a competitive day. .3 Ks to go now for Bissiger. 57 Ks an hour here. Slight tailwind towards the finish for most of this. Doesn't like it's blowing too strongly. But we were hearing from Marco Pinotti, time trial performance at Jeko Lula, who gets parachuted in for these days on Grand Tours, that the course is running faster than he thought it would do. Back into town, slightly more technical points where Adam was highlighting that Bissiger had not been hanging around, neither has Niels Pollitt. And he is very likely to set the fastest time ahead of Luke Durbridge here. But what we're seeing behind with Bissiger, it doesn't look like it's about to hold for too long. Here is Pollitt then. There is Durbridge. He's barely had time to park his backside on the seat. Well, he's going to be told to disappear in a minute. Pollitt, I'm not sure will even make it to the seat. 25 seconds quicker. There goes Durbridge. This was Pollitt, German champion. But we expect a Swiss to be the leader. And here he is. 30 minutes, 49.57 seconds, the new top time. We can expect the fastest to be going under half an hour today. Bissiger looks like he's set for something that's just over half an hour. 450 meters from this point. Final left turn, here it is. 29.43 and ticking. Bissiger has been fast. Pollitt has just taken that fastest time off of Luke Durbridge. But Bissiger's going to be the man who will sit in the hot seat. And he might be sitting there for a little while. Let's see. Here is Bissiger. Finish line up ahead. Maximum effort for the final couple of pedal strokes, and 42.9 seconds quicker takes him to a time that sits on 30 minutes, 6 seconds. But it could have been very different, Adam.
That's what I mean, though. He's like, he'll either do a really good ride or crash. There's no holding him back. He's all or nothing, which I admire about him. It's brilliant, but you just see that there, and you're like, for the sake of a second or half a second, just feather the brake a little bit, just a little bit. But when it works, it looks great.
we're used to it with Bissiger. Crashed in the rain, producer Doug reminds me, 2 years ago when Yves Lompard took the victory.
Exactly.
Here's Tim Wallens. And I think Danny is off to eat food, and Joe and all are in the living room. Danny, keep the conversation on track, will you please? We don't want these two bringing these weird thoughts back later on.
I will, of course, Rob. Enjoy.
Thank you. Matteo Sobrero now.
Sobrero there with new handlebars as well. You see the extensions that go up to the tri-bar, so that new little part there in between the flat part of the handlebar to the top part of the handlebar, that's all new. Looks like all one piece. So it looks like they've had really put a lot of time and effort in, a lot of R&D, a lot of money spent.
You can imagine that's only going to increase and therefore improve Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe, given the new investment that's been made, you know, with the changing of the name.
I think so, yeah. For a lot of the riders, we heard from the Sabello, the Visma Lease bike engineer there, and he was saying, you know, for Jonas, you know, he wants it even lighter, this, that, and the other, his bike than what it already is, so taking the paint off it, etc. They normally only do that for 1 or 2 riders because it's a bit of faff with the bike companies to do it. It's not easy to do it, but it's all down to money, really. And you think, like, Red Bull's got this big investment that's coming in. They'll probably think, well, why are we just doing it for 1 rider? Let's do it for all the riders.
Michael Matthews across the line, 40 seconds down on Stefan Bissiger. Second best time. That's a really good ride from Matthews. He's such a good bike rider, isn't he, across all sort of facets of it.
He's brilliant. And he's proven in time trials before, Paris-Nice time trials in the past especially. He's just, yeah, he's a solid bike rider who can do things brilliantly.
Matthews in. Just continuing to prove too, as well as the effort, that Jayco Lula have one of the best time trial setups of any of the teams out there.
Tim Wellens is definitely cruising. There's not a lot of effort going into this. You can tell by his body language, the way that he's pedaling, everything. He just keeps putting his head down, having a little. He is just cruising at the minute. I don't think it's not a full gas Tim Wellens. Which question, what we spoke about earlier, Rob. Is he O'Gray? Is he feeling a bit poorly? Is he trying to take it easy? There you go. First time check, 45 seconds down. So he's saving himself for something.
Well, presuming that Tadej Pogačar can keep the yellow jersey, you imagine he has to save himself to do quite a bit of riding in the next week or two.
He does, yeah, but if you think back to like the last few days, you know, we've seen Sivakov on the front, Pollitt on the front, and they're the types where you'd probably see Wellens a bit more, you know. Wellens not as good a climber, I'm going to say, as Sivakov in the bigger mountains, but Sivakov's been doing that work. We've not really seen a lot of Tim Wellens, so maybe that is that slight little chink in that armour at the minute that they're wanting to keep quiet. Sorry if there is something wrong, it's obviously not quiet anymore, but there might be that slight illness maybe within the team, or just a little problem where something's not quite right, but he's not being as visible as what we've seen Wellens in the past.
That was a very rare clip of Mahmadio being quiet there.
For now.
And here is David Gaudu. Can't imagine he will be having a big hit out today. Not requiring to do so for the general classification. This is Matej Mohoric. 10 minutes into his effort as Gaudu begins. A long, long way down in the GC. 81st rider to start out of the 174. David Gaudu probably lost a sack full of time. He'll be looking towards next week in the mountains. Imagine that it's this time next weekend we will start to see him maybe try to get up the road and into breakaways on mountain stages. We go back to Garcia Pierna. Talked about him being one of the top young Spanish time trialists at the minute. He has been national champion. Today he's going to be just over half a minute behind Stefan Bissiger. Again, not a bad result for a team that doesn't really have any sort of heritage or history in the time trial. Not really looking at one of the teams you imagine, or at least, you know, we hear words, don't we, and talks. We've never really heard about RK having a great setup.
No. I think the main thing is with it, you know, that these guys won't have spent thousands of pounds on skin suits. They won't have spent tens of thousands of pounds on wind tunnel testing. It'd be very much, this is your time trial bike, we've made it as fast as you can, go and do what you can on it, let the legs do the talking. But in this game you need all that nowadays to be able to be right at the top.
We welcome television viewers back with a sight of Matteo Sobrero, former Italian national champion, winner of the time trial in the Giro d'Italia. The last time we finished in Verona a couple of years ago. This is Christophe Laporte, French rider, now to a stage winner, European champion, finishes over 3 minutes down. Didn't expect him up there today, and his day is done. This is Marnus Court.
Great looking position.
He's a class act on a bike, isn't he? He's a good hotel reviewer as well.
He is, yeah, going for the 7-star reviews, right up to a number 7 though.
Do you know why he's going for 7 stars?
So there's only one hotel in the world with a 7-star review, I think, and I believe it's in Dubai.
Ah, yes, yes. It's sort of those hotels that are trying to be posher than posh, because it always used to be 5 stars, didn't it?
It was always 5 stars. I don't know of any 6, but there must be one out there. But apparently the one in Dubai is 7 stars. I don't know what you get for that, but I'm hoping you wouldn't. Well, I don't. Lord knows.
Not really my kind of thing, either. I don't know.
No, let's get a camper van.
Bit too much bling for me, that.
Open a few bottles of wine and we're laughing, aren't we, Doug?
Exactly.
Speaking of which, today for the fans, this is brilliant. Side of the road in France, beautiful. Sat there all day, little picnic, baguette, gorgeous.
Kevin Vauquelin on his first tour, and he's already a stage winner. What a debut he has had. And he's one of the big promises, the big bits of the future of French cycling. Well, he's already the present now. Winning in Italy, in Bologna. Kevin Vauquelin and Aker BMB have their history and a new page written thanks to Vauquelin's victory. They've never won a stage of the Tour de France, and they've ridden almost 200 stages at this race without winning. That until the other day. A man who's winning at the moment is Stefan Bissiger. Let's hear from him.
Stefan, you've clearly gone all in, left it all out on the road. Happy with your ride?
Yeah, I think it was a decent ride. We're going to see where we stack up at the end. I did definitely my best. Maybe a bit overpaced in the beginning, paid a bit on the climb, but yeah, we will see.
It's a super, super fast course. Did you try and make up as much time on the climb and then just cruise the rest of the way?
Yeah, in the downhill you can't really pedal, so you have anyway like a recovery zone there, but yeah, I went all out. I went all out on the climb anyway, so probably everybody has the same strategy.
And technically, what was it like from a technical perspective? Any of the bends give you any issues?
Yeah, I had a few close calls. Obviously, when you get tired, it's not as good anymore. And we didn't do so much recon. We only did 1 lap before, so it's not that you have it like Olympic Games or Worlds like perfectly in the head. It's always a bit, yeah, a bit just go on the go. But I think it was a decent ride for that.
Thank you.
Nice to hear from Stefan Bissiger, and admitting that he had 1 or 2 close calls there in terms of pushing the envelope right to the edge.
Good to see though. I like it when a ride is on the limit, even though it is a little bit scary.
Sort of watch from behind the sofa moment, isn't it, when that happens?
Yeah. Especially if it was your son riding, you'd be like, ooh, even more so.
What would you be like?
Ooh. Thank you very much, Roberto.
Back with Mohoric. Proud moment for him in the national jersey. There was no Roglic, there was no Mohoric, and he was the first to mention that in his acceptance speech when he took the jersey. But as a hard-worked jersey, Slovenian cycling at the moment is a very competitive place. And so back with Court.
I am looking forward to when we get a Mohoric day. You know, like one of the days we had last year with him and Asgreen. Those sort of days in the Tour, I cannot wait for them. Those real breakaway days where it looks like it should be a sprint. A couple of riders get away, big strong ones, and just outsmarts the peloton.
Yeah, you wonder when they're coming. Of course, for somebody like Mohoric to be given the freedom, you would imagine that feel Bauhaus would have to sort of drop out of contention somehow, given the fact that they should be riding for him in a sprint, shouldn't they? Or the stage would have to get a little more difficult. Something would have to happen, wouldn't it? So we probably can't be looking for that tomorrow. What I think we probably can be looking is for him to somehow to try and attack Sunday stage on the gravel, no, as the reigning world champion in that discipline.
That's true. I wonder if he's wearing his Wales jersey tomorrow, since they're on gravel.
No, we can't.
Well, not tomorrow, maybe Sunday.
Or Sunday.
Hello, Robbie.
Hello, Robert.
How are we?
Very well, thanks. And looking forward to the final part of this time trial where we're going to get that block of favourites. Anyone who's a contender or a pretender in this Tour de France, they're all off around each other. There's going to be times flying in thick and fast. I don't see many bollards here.
Well, let's hope that no GC challenges are in ruins later. You talk about names to come. Of course, you're talking, I imagine, about the big GC favourites towards the end. This is the former European and Spanish champion, Jonathan Castroviejo. You're looking a little later on for names that are coming up in what, the next 15 minutes? We've got Victor Campenaerts on the hour who says he will have a go today. Then you have Stefan Kung. He starts 5 minutes later. And a minute and a half after that, Jan Trapp. Should be an interesting period. With Wout van Aert starting at 27 minutes past 3. Meantime, this is Oyer Lascano. Going fairly well, but not as well as Stefan Bissinger, the second Czech. That's the one that comes at the top of the climb.
Good conditions for today's time trial as well. Tailwind for most of the day, not too hot out there. And you can just see all the buses down there on that team shot, the start village and everything else. This is a real big day for the teams as well. The mechanics, the mechanic truck, that will have to be leaving the hotel at probably 6 this morning to get a parking spot, park up there so they can get all the time trial bikes ready in the morning while they're there. The riders will have to come in to do recon, which means the Swan Years will have to be there. Getting the bottles ready, getting the time trial suits ready, you know, the nutritionist giving the food times, when to eat the food, having their caffeine, that kind of stuff before the warm-up, and then the performance coaches giving the times to what they've got to do in the warm-up, everything along with that. The riders, it's a relatively easy day, but it's a long day. But for the staff involved, it's huge. As we see a rare sight within the peloton, rim brakes.
Rim brakes on that bike.
There it is.
Yep, tucked in underneath the bottom bracket and built into that front fork. But as Adam said, for a stage that's only 25 kilometres, it punches way above its weight as far as logistics goes. Oh. Just so you know, your teammate did a really good time. What better incentive to make you go fast to try and be the best from the team?
Is that a thing, sort of bragging rights on the bus?
Well, in some, unfortunately, in some teams, yeah, I don't find it a thing. We used to laugh and joke when I was racing and in Belgian teams. We'd sometimes catch a teammate speaking a little bit too loud on the phone to home, saying, it wasn't that great, but I was the best Belgian today.
Oh, it's a massive thing, especially in mountain stages where they're like, you want to beat your fellow Brit or fellow Aussie rider just to get a few places in front of them. It's just like, where is the internal competition? Oh, that Tash is coming along, isn't it?
Well, they won't shave until they win. And this is a rare sight. Mathieu van der Poel in a standard issue team jersey. He's got the grey attack special jersey on. By the way, when the press release came out telling us about this special jersey for the Tour de France, he's that big a name. They told us the 2 stages that Van der Poel would be wearing this jersey and not his world champion's stripes. Here he is, off on the time trial, and as Adam referred to, Yes.
2-minute rest is crazy.
There in Alpecin-de-Koning, but no, will be having a shave until they win.
I mean, if you look, I had a chat about all of this. They're not exactly a hairy bunch of riders, are they? You know what I mean? I mean, Van der Poel, he's got the skin of like a 7-year-old, just smooth and silky. Philipsen's kind of similar. You know, they're not exactly the hairiest team in the world. Simon Geschke, on the other hand, if he was in that team, if they didn't get a stage win by the time they got to Nice, it'd probably be like Santa Claus length beard.
Well, he turns up with his beard, and they'd have to bet him if we get one, you have to take yours off, which could lead to really horrible sunburn. But you look at Mathieu van der Poel, I think his moustache is a bit of an homage to the Euro 24 football competition, because his moustache is about 11 aside.
It's true, yeah.
Very sparse.
The rivalries resume tonight at the hotels, by the way, with the quarterfinals. Here is Vauquelin. He is being followed by Emmanuel Hubert. Team boss Philippine very, very happy with the man they called Keke and his victory in Bologna. Back with Gaudu. Groupama fans on the side of the road, Mathieu following behind. A Tour de France that has yet to bring too much joy to the French team.
So Vauquelin has ridden 5 time trials so far this season, and his best was a win in the Étoile de Bessèges beginning of the season.
All eyes on David Gaudu as the French fans look for their new hero, Kevin Vauquelin.
I guess this was pre-planned well in advance to follow David Gaudu wherever he was, but he is so far off general classification. He is not a time trial specialist. The reason for him being followed is the production. These pictures that we get of the Tour de France come via the French production, and so they're following their favourite French riders, David Gaudu being one of them. But I don't expect him to set the world on fire. In fact, I don't even expect him to find the box of matches in a time trial. But what he does have now, being off GC, losing 29 minutes on day one, if his legs will cooperate with him, he has the opportunity to light the race up in other stages, in the hillier stages, in the mountains, getting into breaks, going on long attacking raids. And who knows, up the road and ride himself into contention in the King of the Mountains jersey as well. But not much point following him today in the TT.
Here's Tim Wellens about to finish his little stint in the Belgian champions jersey at the Tour de France. We'll next be seeing that jersey on the final day of the race. So Wellens to come in over 2 minutes down on Stefan Bissegger. Next to come up, the likes of Companats, Kung, Tratnik and Van Aert. And for this next little while, I'm going to hand you over to Carlton Kung.
Thank you, Rob. Yeah, they're lovely, the French riders. And, well, why not? We love the fact that this Tour de France started off with a bang for the French public. And when France is happy, the race is happy, it has to be said. Win for Romain Bardet and then Kevin Vauquelin, who we are riding along with right now. He's not going to set the timing sheets alight, as Robin McEwen has just alluded to. But you know what? Today's got a kind of a mixed feel about it. As well, Robbie, it's had mixed blessings, really, in terms of its favours within the Tour de France organisers. Time trialling has kind of ebbed, and now it seems to be flowing yet again after a bit of a period under Christian Prudhomme where it was out of favour.
It sort of happens in waves a little bit, doesn't it, the way races are organised. Certainly in the Giro, we've seen over the years that the course tends to be organised significantly around the skills of the current top Italian rider. I don't know if you could really say that for the Tour de France. It's at least not as obvious as it has been in the Giro over the last couple of decades. But yeah, sometimes they just want to change things up, not have too many time trialling kilometres. And certainly when someone seems to be absolutely dominant in the time trial, we had a run there, Bradley Wiggins, Chris Froome, why not cut them down, cut them out, turn them into team time trials? Their gaps are smaller. What they've tried to do is really keep the race tight. But I think today you could have a 25k time trial or even a 40-kilometre time trial. I think it's still going to be tight amongst the absolute top favourites because they are all accomplished time trialists.
I think you're absolutely right. As Mywhoosh is just about to get off the ramp here for Bahrain victorious. Somebody used to set a decent mark actually when it came to time trialling in the past. He's on the duties these days, very much part of the support staff, I think, within Bahrain victorious. And if you look at tomorrow, we've got a breakaway style day in prospect. I don't think there's going to be any demands on the GC men. I mean, every day, or the support for the GC men until we get to Lorient and the Puy-Marie on stage 11 a couple of days after the rest day. You're absolutely right there, Robbie. They did design, I mean, when Bradley Wiggins, Sir Brad, as we now have Sir Mark as well, when he won the Tour, it was a race that had been designed for him. It certainly seemed that way, and I think the French organisers, it's such a global affair, this. They don't keep it really to the advantage of their home riders, although when Alaphilippe went close, I think they certainly had done then. Yeah, I think they keep it fresh, is what you're saying, Robbie, and I agree with you.
I love it when they throw in new, fresh things to the Tour de France. And you know, some people complain every time. Everyone's always going to complain about something. Gravel, cobbles, too many hills, not enough hills, not enough or too many time trials. There's always something.
What would you throw in if you could throw something in?
A stinger for his opposition.
I actually really like how this tour is set up, although I don't necessarily like to see it finish with a time trial. Do you know, second last day time trial, I think for the sort of celebration purposes that we normally see, the Champs-Élysées is a flat-out race once they get onto the laps.
Yeah.
But I like to see the peloton finish the entire race together. This 3-week epic journey that they've been on, and then finish it on your own and drip off back to the bus or right back to the hotel. I find it just lacks a little something in that way to finish off.
I'd like to see a Kermesse stage, like a full 130k stage, not too long.
Proper circuit
but
race.
just like an 8k circuit.
How many corners would you put in it?
Oh, at least 2 every kilometre.
Yeah.
It'd be like 16 corners minimum.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I think that'd be brilliant.
You need to start bidding for it, fellas. That would be great.
Hey, another petition. That's another one.
It's got to start. Well, I'm on one.
They should maybe do it when the race is in Belgium, so they can do it on the typical Belgian concrete roads. Death Valley right in the middle. If you happen to ride on the left-hand side of the road with those concrete plates, the way they line them up, the front of the plate sticks up on the left-hand side because just the way they lay them. So you smash into that if you're on the wrong side of the road.
It'd be brilliant, though, wouldn't it?
Punctures, it'd be fantastic. Because it is such
cheating
hard
each other
racing.
up.
Your sentence was going the right way. You said, you two are geniuses.
Is that what it is? Honestly, it would be amazing, especially the guy with the big leather suitcase full of cash in one of the cafes. I mean, that's what it was all about, wasn't it?
Well, we'd know where to find you then when we go. Can I put... Wait, how much is 50p worth in euro? Can I put that on?
Not on Lascano. He's 27 seconds down. There's a few committed rides going on. It's starting to warm up, this, Adam.
Lascano would go all right in a Kermesse.
Lascano would be brilliant in a Kermesse. Kermesse racing, by the way, is the hardest racing ever. It's so difficult. It's tactical, it's flat out, it's hard. And when he goes to the ones in Belgium, just the local ones, there's one of them that is near the Quick Step headquarters. And I did it once. I forgot what it is. It's Gulligan, maybe. And
Hullegem or Ruddervoorde?
There's one of them, and there's literally the whole Quick Step team turns up.
That's
Hullegem. There's like 27 Quick Step riders turn up. It is so hard.
Well, some riders that will remain nameless. I mean, part of the reason why I don't think it's entered the official UCI calendar might well just be the fact that can we say that some of the results may well have been massaged in the past. You know, riders used to get paid to turn up as well to some of those Kermesses, and appearance money counts for an awful lot. And I reckon the first little preem along the way, because they're peppered with preems as well. So it's not just about the end game, is it, Robbie? You get prizes along the route as well.
You can get small cash prizes along the way, but generally the organisers, they call it start money, but they'll only give it to you after the finish, when you've got to the end of the race. And then you are really earning your finish money riding one of those. Anyway, these guys are earning their money too. Tour's pretty hard.
Tour's quite hard, yeah.
Yeah, takes it out of you just a bit. Vauquelin's gone full beans here. First time check, second quickest behind Bissiger by only a margin of 2 seconds. I think his gander is up, and he likes the taste of victory, Robbie.
I also think, just before Robbie comes in here, I think this is a test for Vauquelin. I think for him, you know, he's definitely the kind of rider that can win a one-week stage race. So I think this is a building block. You know, it's like you need to go all out today. You need to see how you do. You need to really test yourself, just in preparation for the future. I think more than anything is, let's see how you really get on these days. You know, test yourself on this day in the time trial today, and he is up.
Goodness me.
I said it before, he's a very good time trialist. He won the time trial in the Étoile de Bessèges earlier this season. He's had a number of top 6 finishes as well. I think the worst he's done in a time trial this season, off the top of my head, was 16th place.
Well, he's certainly demanding our attention at the moment, and leading this by a margin of half a minute just for the time being. Well, he's done the tough bit. I mean, this is a man who's absolutely on a mission. He's now coming downhill and heading home. Absolutely outstanding. They said this was a positive split day, which means go all in, don't worry about the finale, because the wind is with you. In fact, we were a little bit worried, Robbie, that the wind would be picking up in the afternoon and may well indeed change direction as well, but it seems stable.
Well, as long as it's the same wind condition for all our favourites, that's the thing that I'm most concerned about. I hate to see a time trial influenced when it comes to favourites spread throughout the field if there hasn't been much separation.
One more, let's do it.
Some get good conditions, others get poor conditions, or it could rain between them. But now they're also stacked close together. They will all have the same conditions. We see Stefan Kung just with one of those big wind-ups in the warm-up. Because if you're going to go out with an eye on winning this time trial, you don't just twiddle along on the rollers and go, oh, that's enough just to get me underway and I'll get going once I'm out there. You have got to be ready to be at your limit once you get down the ramp.
Unless you're Thomas again.
Well, he still gets to his limit, but he just seems to like without a warm-up. But I'm still unconvinced because he hasn't won a time trial like this doing it.
No, he hasn't, no. He never used to do a warm-up, sorry.
Tour of Switzerland, Vauquelin was far from his best when he far from his best on a time trial bike. A bit chilly today.
You're thinking of Geraint Thomas when Vest comes to mind in a time trial.
Very good. True. Victor Campenaerts. I always love Victor Campenaerts' interviews. He's very, very dialed in. He had a chat to Matt Stevens at the top of the day, and it was the most detailed description of chain lines and what blocks he was using on the back and absolutely everything. Open book, Robbie.
He is an open book. The thing is, when it comes to a time trial, you're not giving tactics away. It's not like coming into a road race and saying, this is the point at which I will attack. He's just saying it very matter of fact because it is about facts. The clock ticks, you get to the line and it stops and that's it. So saying the way you're going to do it, you know, if anybody else went to go and try and copy what Victor Campenaerts has planned, it may very well not work out for them anyway. This is a really nice technical descent, but so flowing.
I would love to race down here. This would just be a brilliant road to race down, you know, knocking on 80 k's an hour, not having to brake for many corners, just
not having to pedal.
Not having to pedal being the main one, Robbie, 100%.
Sounds like my kind of sport. Basque Country in Tirreno. He really did nail down his credentials when it comes to time trialing. To be honest, I thought he'd be a bit knocked back, fellas, when after taking doing so well on the second day, of course, taking his victory then. But not a bit of it. He's determined to constantly remind us he's here. Focus a little bit on Arnaud Demar, but he's not shining as bright as he could do in the sprint. So the team will be fully behind this man, and it's a big moment for him. He did suffer on the first day, which is why he's starting off in the position he is. But it's a reminder, let's not forget, this is a shop window, the Tour de France. We get to that silly season, don't we, when contracts are coming up. Not quite sure when Vauquelin's is up for renewal at the moment, but if it is up soon, in fact, he's got next year already booked. But I imagine there may well be some Bobby bonuses being factored in there because of the way he's ridden here.
Well, if the team are clever, they will have just ripped up the existing contract and signed him straight up. I mean, Kevin Vauquelin, he might have been tired and suffering on day one.
Go on,
as he rides himself towards the back of the police bike, a little bit of a boost. Stage winner at the Tour de France.
Yeah.
Stage 2.
Phenomenal.
That's the time to sign your life away and say, how long would you like me for?
Exactly.
Well, let's get rid of that contract I was on, because if you want me, because then what happens if they don't sign him? Other teams come circling and go, well, what were you on? What's your next year's contract? Oh, 100,000.
Yeah.
Well, let's get rid of that. We've got 500-600 here for you for 3 years. It's an absolute no-brainer. So his own team would want to be playing right on the ball and offering that contract. And
that's if he takes it. That's if he took it as well. There could be other teams that are sniping in Colton and offering him loads more money. That is a more successful team that might see him build the future. Similar to Jorgensen in Movistar. Apparently he's not paid as much as what he was in Movistar, but he's definitely going to be paid more in the next couple of years after what he's done being in that team.
Yeah, and if his agent was clever, they already would have that in the contract of bonuses and upgrades to contract depending on performances. But within France, for Kevin Vauquelin, he will be hot dollar.
Stock risen, Yep. I mean, the good thing about Arkea is that they are, and have been over the years, a very loyal team to those that they have as their principal riders. And sometimes that's a good thing to be. You can end up jumping into what appears to be the next biggest vessel. It turns out to be a lifeboat with a hole in it. You know, we've seen that with so many riders. So yeah, don't sign his life away elsewhere just yet, because he may well have to be in the service of others, and we just need to enjoy him where he is right now, and he's having a fantastic run here.
He's having a brilliant run, yeah, and you can tell that he's wrecked this course, not being off those tri-bars in about the last 400-500 metres, just railing every corner, staying down low, staying as aero as he can. He's Aguirre here. It's a very new type of handlebar that's come out. Filippo Ganna was the original one to start using this handlebar, and it's sort of that bar across the front. It's very old school. It was like Greg LeMond used to have it. Sean would have had it back in his day probably as well. That's just like a big U shape over the top of it. But many riders nowadays are having that. Sean's looking down.
Yeah, he's giving it a 1,000-yard stare. He's like, I'm not getting involved with this nonsense. This is getting serious now. We're getting some great names who can actually make an impact today, and Stefan Kung is certainly one of those. Swiss champion, as you can see. There were a few others knocked back when it came to the championship, but to be honest, Kung on his day can be absolutely spectacular, and there's no reason why. It looks like he's set out with that aim installed. This will be his day, Robbie.
Well,
the one he's marked up.
We'll have, this will be one he's marked off. It'll be a day. We'll see what sort of a day it will be for Kung. Over the last couple of seasons, he's profiled himself and worked a lot more on becoming a true classics rider, performing really well in the Northern Cobbled Classics, rather than earlier in his career, he was sort of pure time trialist. He's still got that in him, and I wonder how much preparation he's been doing in the run-up to this Tour de France to really hone his time trialing skills again, spending a lot more time on the time trial bike as you need to. And I was just looking at the front of his bike when he rolled down the ramp, and it looks like someone started building a pergola on the front of his bike. Just the length of the bar extensions coming up to where his elbows are resting on. And it's funny how over the years, Adam, positions have changed from everybody trying to get really low down at the front, almost touching the front
Cadell
wheel.
Evans sort of low.
To now these really upright positions, but it's
narrow
power to aerodynamics and the position that lets you generate that.
Apparently we did a thing last year, well, in the Giro with Filippo Ganna's bike and looking at the detailing of it, and one of the biggest parts of where the wind hits is your legs. The next biggest part was in the old school position, as Robbie just described. When you're in that aero tuck, the old position, the wind all used to hit your chest, and that was the big slowing of riders. And now we can see, I'm pretty sure 100% of all these riders will have the bars up ever so slightly, so they're in that position where it brings their hands towards the face.
The praying mantis.
Yeah, and the more they can minimise that gap in between their hand and their face, that is stopping the wind going through there and maximising the airflow to go over you, which is ultimately quicker. CDA is what they call it. And I mean, like we have power to weight ratios going uphill, we have a CDA, so it's how fast you can go with minimum power, basically. It's a huge thing within cycling, something that the team spend an awful lot of money on.
Talking about a positive split today, going all in right at the beginning. Vauquelin's done that, and he's just starting to pay the price, potentially. Looking at the flags here to see if the wind, it looks like it may well have just eased a little bit. It was supposed to be picking up in the afternoon. But Vauquelin, right now, he's shipped 8 or 9 seconds. He's still going to come in the fastest time, but maybe not being able to drive it home entirely on the flatter section here. He coped with the climb brilliantly. This is going to be our lead time, Robbie, but I'm not quite sure whether it's as wide a gap as we thought it was going to be.
Oh, that's the thing. We never know how close someone has been to their limit, or if indeed they've gone so hard, put themselves into the red a little bit too deep earlier in the time trial and just slightly start to fade. 22, 23 seconds. He's underneath the time of Bissiger at the moment as David Gaudu comes in more or less up to expectations. Going to be, I think, just shy of 2 minutes down.
It's a shame, isn't it, for Groupama? It's not worked out for them this Tour de France, especially as other teams have been thriving. And with Gaudu and Lenny Martinez really binning it very, very early on in terms of GC hopes. But here comes Vauquelin. And check this out, my goodness. Well, I don't know where... sometimes it's hard to work out because they have a couple of phases on these corners as to how close he is to the line, but he's not that far away. Full hoarded section, 42 seconds counting down, still solidly green at the moment. It's going to be a hot seat for him, and he may well be there for some time. Finally, the road starts to open up about the 150-meter mark. Little technical approach, but it gets a little bit smoother from now on in. 23 was his advantage. He started to cede that just now, but 21.72 with a 51 kilometers per hour average pace. That was absolutely outstanding.
Great ride by Vauquelin, the man who was second in the French Time Trial Championship, just 3 seconds behind Bruno Amiret. At a good, solid time and under the 30-minute barrier.
Here we go then. We've got ourselves a distinctive benchmark right now, and it's who can measure themselves against it. Well, the likes of Stefan Kung will be absolutely out to do that. See how he goes. He looks incredibly smooth. He's extraordinarily long of limb as well, Adam.
He's not short.
He's got one of the biggest seat posts on the planet, I think.
He has. He's on a new bike as well. This bike's been developed around Kung, and he's really had a lot of help with development on it.
Seat's so tall, I think the engineers are going to get altitude sickness just dealing with it. He is a very long man, but he gets himself incredibly aero. And as you can see, the developments that we've had on these bikes, there may well be a UCI jig that they have to fit into, but I'm amazed at just how constant the range of development is within these bikes, and indeed the effectiveness of them. The back wheel of Tadej Pogačar's machine is... It looks scary to me. I don't know what they've done with it, but it's got a whole sequence of different planes to it that are different even to his own teammates.
Well, this is something that his team have been recorded as saying after the Giro and before the Tour de France, that the developments they've done with Tadej Pogačar's time trial bike would have seen him ride 25 to 30 seconds quicker in the Giro time trials had he used that new equipment. Saving it up for the Tour de France. Maybe it wasn't ready yet. Maybe they were just keeping it under wraps until now to not give away that tech to anybody else. I mean, there's always spies. Yes. So they're saying that his equipment is already going to be faster than what he had in the Giro. That's pretty ominous because he was only just keeping it on the ground in the Giro. Low flying.
I was wondering whether Abramson would put in a decent performance today because he's got to dial in something for the potential tomorrow. There is a whole raft of King of the Mountains points up for grabs very early on in our run to Colombey, and I would have thought that he's an absolute shoo-in to be up there. So we shall wait and see. He did own of course, the green jersey and the polka dots. So yeah, Colombey tomorrow. I'm not quite sure you're going to get the deepest drive, let's put it that way, for the time trial, because He will want to be in that break tomorrow with so many points up for grabs. The trouble is there's going to be a lot of riders who are feeling precisely the same. It may well be a target kind of day. It looks like a bit of a Thomas de Gent sort of day, and those of you who know Thomas will know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, it could be a big gang go up the road tomorrow with Trois looming large in the gravel stages, and then of course rest day.
Tomorrow's stage is one that's sort of not captured a lot of attention because of the time trial today and the gravel stage that everyone's been talking about on Sunday. Tomorrow's stage is lumpy, not ideal for the sprinters, perfect for a breakaway. There'll be a lot of riders just cruising through today. Just get me from A to B, save the legs and try and go up the road tomorrow. I think tomorrow's stage is going to be brilliant. Adam, you're talking about a stage for Matej Mohoric and when that's going to be. Tomorrow is the first sort of opportunity, though I think he really does come into his own when the race is about 2 weeks old and that fatigue is so deep in everyone's legs.
Yeah, I'd say so as well. I think tomorrow is, like you mentioned, Mohoric, but being one of the first big proper breakaway days that has potential to go to the finish. There's going to be so many people trying to get in that breakaway tomorrow that whoever does win, if it comes from a breakaway, they will thoroughly deserve it, because it is going to be a big, big fight, I feel, to get in that break.
Jonas Aguirre, one of those that was up the road in a breakaway at the start of this tour. In fact, it looked like it might well go all the way in its original incarnation. Then, of course, Romain Bardet bridged over, broke the heart of the breakaway. Jonas Aguirre was one of those that backed out of it in the end. Bardet held on with Frank van den Broek backing out. It seems a long time ago. You know, you can be so close to it. Sometimes you think, oh, this race is just bombing along very, very quickly. But when you start to think back at the detail and the huge cheers that we had for Bardet, then Vauquelin, who's doing fantastic things here, kind of realise just how intense it has been. There's an awful lot of stories been crammed into this theatre, I must admit. Mads Pedersen took a tumble, was grumpy as hell yesterday because they gave him the combativity award. And the reason he was grumpy was he had to hang around for the podium, and he was saying, look, I want to go to the hospital.
Yeah,
I've got bandages to change. What's all this nonsense?
Yeah, 100% with him. Like they think they're doing him a favour because, you know, the bravery shown and the resilience to get up off the deck, covered in bandages like the mummy, and go and race. And it's a nice gesture, but yeah, exactly what he didn't want, to have to hang around longer and all that comes with a podium appearance.
It's not his podium that he wanted, is it?
No.
Victor Campenaerts wants this, and he's found Izagirre, who doesn't look terribly interested at the moment. Izagirre is another one who will be desperate, I think, to get in the break to Colombey tomorrow. It could well be a kind of an Izagirre kind of day. Maybe not hard enough, actually, for him, to be honest, to make a noise.
Yeah, a bit more mountainous required for Izagirre, I think. When you think back to last year when Cofidis won 2 stages, he was one of them.
Yeah.
And that was on such a tough day.
But tomorrow, coming up, good day for him tomorrow. Izagirre, so he's probably just thinking, get through today, just cruise through.
It's a day where you've got to throw everybody at it in the team too. You can't just go, okay, today Izagirre's our man. But no, you've just got to go with everyone and see what you end up with.
Abrahamsen still waiting for him. It'll be tomorrow. But yeah, those polka dots, he's worked very, very hard to amass all of the points required to lead the competition. And in fact, on the opening couple of days, it was all about him. I think we've got Kevin Vauquelin coming up.
Au début, j'ai du mal à mettre en rouge, je pense que c'est ça les courses à étapes.
And the start really went into the red.
Une fois dans la bosse, j'ai senti que
Then we went
très fort, mais j'arrivais à maintenir et
onto the climb
j'avais pas vraiment mal aux jambes.
to moderate my pace. I just had to, my legs weren't hurting, and so I just pushed as hard as I possibly could at that point. What a first week it's been for you, Kevin. Absolutely amazing.
Ouais, j'étonne après.
You're surprising a lot of people. Well, I'm surprising a lot of people, but not in my team. We've worked extremely hard for this, and all we needed was our luck to change, and it has had. I don't know how long it's going to last, but I'm just. Not that I didn't care about the time trial, but I just really want to enjoy this race, and I can hear my name on every road being called out, and so I'm just enjoying it. So when your press officers showed you the time trial, were you surprised?
J'ai eu un peu de mal dans la descente,
Well,
et je me suis fait un peu peur. Alors là,
I did a terrific uphill, struggled a little bit on the downhill. We saw that actually went from a 30-second margin to a little less than that. But what about the Olympic Games selection? Well, that's in the back of my mind, obviously. So I wanted to do the best time trial I possibly could, so that I can get selected for the Olympic Games. So I'm delighted with the performance.
ça va au-dessus, j'espère.
Best time to have is something nice.
Merci Kevin, bravo.
Yeah, I'd quite like to stay there a little bit longer. They thanked him and congratulated him, and we add to that as well. Vauquelin having an amazing tour. He's in the shop window, Robbie, for the Olympics by his own admission.
Well, he's done everything he can to put himself in the shop window. Stage victory, strong time trial here. Although just watching from the start of Stefan Kung's ride, after about 1.5 kilometres, he was 10 seconds under the time of Kevin Vauquelin. So Kung has started strong, and we just had a shot of him on the climb. That's him in the background, actually, by the looks of things.
It is, yeah, it's coming.
Just showing a shot from low down right behind him, and the cadence and how smooth he looked on the climb. Like, he's obviously gone out extremely hard to be already ahead of Vauquelin, who said he went immediately into the red, but went on to say, my legs weren't even hurting, so I kept pushing hard. But Kung is underneath that time.
He is underneath it, and he is flying. It is amazing, the smaller gear that he pushes. You'll even see it here now on a climb, you know, out the saddle in a relatively small gear for him. For such a big person, a powerhouse of a person, he's always on top of the gear. He's never over-geared. He's always just what looks to be slightly under, sort of that 97 RPM mark, which at that speed and that power, it really boosts your heart rate up. So he's obviously just used to it. He knows it's effective, but you can see the difference here in leg speed between these two. It's incredible.
Well, he's had his disappointments, hasn't he, Stefan Kung? He came really close in a couple of years ago now to becoming world champion. Didn't quite work out for him, and you can never account for those around you. But Senko's time was just flashed up there. We're back with Mathieu van der Poel, and there you are. That's a whole other tour that he's still got to throw his mind down the road at. Van der Poel just putting in what he needed to today, got through the course, and I think you can say pretty much the same thing for, indeed, Lutsenko, who's been very quiet in this race, shedding time early on, possibly just thinking about stage wins if it comes his way, but he's in protective mode, of course, for Mark Cavendish, who's already achieved their main target. Your thoughts on this run?
Oh, yeah, Mathieu van der Poel, that's just going through the motions, getting through today and looking to the next days, and really love to see it display over this weekend. Yeah, you're right, Adam.
2 good days for Van der Poel coming up. We spoke about this on, I think it was after day 3, day 4, we sort of mentioned him, as we see Victor Kampenaerts very close to the time of Kevin, but not to be as of yet. 2 seconds down, 3.5 seconds, sorry, 3.5 seconds down, yeah.
Well, that pace, you've got to hit 46.
Merry Christmas. Thanks for watching.
By the time
like and subscribe if you guys haven't already.
Why not?
Hope you guys have a good Christmas. Tomorrow I will be on
in a short while. Yeah, he's had his disappointments as Kung, we
for a little Christmas ride.
Live. That intersection we had just a few moments ago was indeed recorded. This is live now.
That's tomorrow, so should be manageable.
3 seconds ahead of Kampenaerts. 3.5, as you've just seen, as I've pointed out. This is also going close. This is getting more rarefied at the top, and the gaps are still quite large. There'll be a lot encamped, I imagine, near the best time. What's gone on? Was that a misgear?
Yeah, I was just looking at intermediate times, and then I saw Kung suddenly. Yeah, he's had a problem because in the live timing, there's a live tracker I was watching, and you could see it suddenly change, and Kung went deep into the red where he'd been well in the green.